Hello and welcome to a discussion of the issues of Campaign 2008. I'm Chris Kiergaard. With me today are, on the Democratic side, Jeff Hall, and on the Republican side, Lee Newcom. Our topic today is the issue of housing and the current economic crisis. On this issue, Senator Obama proposes a tax credit covering 10% of annual mortgage interest payments for struggling homeowners, a scoring system for consumers to compare mortgages, a fund for mortgage fraud victims, new penalties for mortgage fraud, aid to state and local governments stung by the housing crisis, and a $20 billion plan geared to responsible homeowners. Senator Obama also voted in favor of the recent $700 billion federal bailout bill to address the economic crisis. On the Republican side, Senator McCain is open to helping homeowners facing foreclosure if they are legitimate borrowers and not speculators. The senator also voted in favor of the $700 billion bailout and, in the second congressional debate, proposed an additional plan offering $300 billion worth of federal money to aid additional homeowners facing foreclosure. Mr. Hall, Democratic viewpoint.
Thanks. Basically, Barack Obama supports modernizing the financial regulatory system. He wants more oversight over these lenders, these high-powered lenders, to come in and basically give mortgages and give loans to families that can't afford these loans. And basically, he's going to give some more oversight. Okay, he's going to help homeowners face foreclosure and ease basically credit crunches by, basically setting up programs that can monitor these lenders and what they can and cannot lend to buyers. Because I was a homeowner. I sold my house recently, but I bought a house, and our first lender that we went to basically said, "Oh, you can afford this house, and it's for this much." And looking at our finances, there's no way we could have afforded that. But what would have happened was we would have been in this kind of bind here, because we would have had to say a mortgage of $1,500 a month when we couldn't afford that. So basically, what Obama's doing is he's coming in and he's saying we need to regulate this. We can't let another Freddie Mae, Fannie Mae happen here. And one thing that's important to note is that McCain did somewhat flip-flop on the bailout issue, because he first took a stance and said, we're not going to help these people that go into these. It's like caveat emptor. It's like buyer beware. It's your fault since you got this this loan and you got approved for it. You shouldn't have done it. You should have been more responsible. But then he comes in and says, you know what? We got to go after these lenders. We got to go after these creditors, and that's a problem because you need that oversight. You need that oversight because some people think they can buy a house and get the loan for it, but they can't. And so we need, like I said, that oversight. And Obama basically supports that.
Mr. Newcom.
Well, I have a unique perspective on this because I'm a county recorder of deeds, and through my office every day come the mortgages that everybody signs. We handle every mortgage, every lending that goes through the county, just as every county recorder does. We have to look, this is a huge economic crisis. Virtually everything that is happening in world economics today, which is tragic. I mean, we're really hovering on the edge of a depression here. And what our government people do will determine whether or not we go down the toilet or whether we survive this to fight another day. And so we have to look at what was the genesis of this crisis. The problem with Fannie Mae began with the Community Reinvestment Act and began through the Clinton administration when Janet Reno, as Attorney General, was threatening banks with legal action if they did not make more loans to poor people. The banks were pressured into making more and more and more loans, and a lot of the discipline of lending went out the door. Jeff, I had that same offer when I qualified for a house a couple of years ago, and I was approved for a loan that was vastly more than I could have afforded to make. However, it was up to me to make the decision as to what I could do. Now, had I bought the loan that I was approved, had I bought a home for the value I was approved for, I'd be losing it today. I couldn't have afforded it. But my wife and I made the decision to buy something just as you did, something that we could afford to make the payments on. I think we all recognize that in America, people have the freedom to succeed and make good decisions, and people have the freedom to fail when they make bad decisions. If a person takes out a loan that is more than they can afford, I frankly give Americans the credit to believe that they should have made a better decision, and if they made a bad decision, that they should pay the price, because that's how we learn to make good decisions, by failing and making a good one the next time. Now, Senator McCain's position, as he articulated in the most recent debate, was that he believes the federal government ought to help buy up those loans and renegotiate the amounts to save people. The truth is that although we have a crisis on our hands, it's less than 5% of all loans that have a problem. Now, the problem, as it came early, was after the Clinton administration and the Community Reinvestment Act. Then came the Bush administration, which 13 times went to Congress attempting to get regulation over Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And 13 times in the last 2 years, the Democratic congressional leaders, Senator Dodd in the Senate, head of the Finance Committee there, and Barney Frank in the House, chairman of the committee there, said, we don't have a problem, no additional regulation is necessary, and they adamantly defended Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. In fact, Fannie Mae's CEO, Franklin Raines, who has been an advisor to Senator Obama, as you know, Franklin Raines is the CEO that received more than $90 million as he proceeded to run Fannie Mae in the ground. Fannie Mae, I know as a county recorder, because we record tons of documents from Fannie Mae, is the lender that drives the entire market because they underwrite all of these loans. Fannie Mae was pushing these loans and pushing it beyond the reasonable checks and balances that are usually there, and Fannie Mae drove this over the edge. When Fannie Mae drove it over the edge, that created the crisis in the insurance companies, so that AIG went under, so that Lehman went under, and a lot of the problems we have. It's all based in these mortgages. There's a lot of blame to pass around, and I think the Republicans are just about every bit as much to blame as the Democrats in this. We have to look at the actors in Congress and say, they screwed up bad. And as a citizen, I'm really angry at what they did to destroy the economy of our country, and I think you probably are too. We all ought to be.
I think we're in agreement on this.
Now, the question is, these two men that are running for president, what do they want to do? Now, John McCain was one of the most adamant ones wanting the regulation of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Barack Obama did not want that regulation. So no matter what they're doing to campaign today, we should look at what their past actions were. The maverick, as he likes to call himself, John McCain, was saying to both the Republicans and Democrats, we need to get a handle on this and regulate this, it's out of control. And both the Republican and Democratic leaders rejected him. Barack Obama has supported the people who allowed this to happen. I'll go with Senator McCain.
Here's the thing, and on March 25th, basically I have it right here, McCain criticized that the proposed plan for the federal government to bail out Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. He criticized it. He said it's not the duty of the government to bail out and reward those who act irresponsibly, whether it be big banks or small borrowers. That's what and that's what you first started to say here, that these irresponsible lenders.
That's my opinion.
Because you and I both weren't irresponsible on it. We basically got smaller loans, which is probably smart on both of our. That's why we had a place to live there for a while. But then basically on September 7th, following that, the announcement of the government's bailout, basically John McCain supports the steps needed to keep the financial troubles at Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac from further squeezing American families. Then he does another backflip, and he says that before he was against bailing out Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, Senator McCain was for the $30 billion federal bailout of the investment bank Bear Stearns. And basically he said that he doesn't support federal bailouts unless there otherwise could be catastrophic effects on the financial marketplace. So he flipped and flopped and then backflipped there. And you know what, I mean, I'll be honest with you, on a human level, I actually liked John McCain when he was more centrist. He was more to the middle, and he was a straight talker, but he keeps changing his mind on these things because he wants to be elected president so bad. I want a straight shooter here, and he just flipped there 3 times.
Well, brief response to that.
Jeff, the way in which this has happened has been such a crushing problem that has happened so quickly that a lot of people in Washington flipped and flopped from one week to the next because the information that was coming to them week by week was so incredibly much worse day by day that yes, he changed his position there based on new information. I believe his position in the past in terms of being for heavier regulation is a position that shows us what his judgment will be in the future. And I believe, I mean, personally, I don't support any of them in the way they voted in this. But I'm here to represent Senator McCain, and so his position has been, I believe, more consistent than Senator Obama's has been.
Okay. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.